This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we got that going. Welcome everybody to the January 2022 meeting of the Missouri Evergreen Catalogers. Happy New Year, and I hope everyone had a relaxing holidays, or as close as we can, as close as we could be. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our cataloging committee news. First of that being, Reynolds County is going to be going live very soon. That is on January 20th. Now, again, some interesting things about Reynolds County is that they are not currently automated. This will be their first ILS, and so the migration has looked very different from our past ones. All their items are actually just being manually added into the catalog. A lot of that was done with a bit of a cataloging party with the Poplar Bluff staff and some other catalogers who have gone out to visit the site. So thanks a bunch to those who were able to help out with that. I know Greg was out there. I think Ron even spent some time out there. So yeah, thanks to everybody who was able to travel and make that possible. Now, while they were there, they were able to catalog quite a few materials, but still, I don't know the exact size of Reynolds County's collection, but it's pretty large, and it is spread out amongst 5 locations, and so that's still going to take a little bit of time. I should have checked the numbers before the meeting today, but last I had heard, we were making some good headway with some of their materials. So yeah,
they have about 45,000 items that need to be added to the catalog.
45,000. Yeah, so quite a bit, but no, we're getting there slowly but surely. But yeah, they will technically go live on January 20th. Now, as to when the resource sharing portion starts, I don't know if that's been shared yet.
Because of that, Nate, I talked to Shannon last week, and she said that they're probably just going to go live with their Centerville branch first.
Okay.
And I think they focused mainly on adding stuff. That was their first branch that they were adding stuff to, so they could go live with their main branch, and then they'll be working on others. And yeah, resource sharing, I don't know that either.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kate. And then our next one after Reynolds County will be Rawls County, and that won't be until March 24th. So of course, that week before they go live on the 14th through the 18th, we of course will not be able to do any deletion or merging of those bib records. So I'll try to put out a reminder, but yeah, definitely make sure that that is on your calendar. Also, over the past month or month and a half, we've worked with Rogan at Equinox to kind of update some of our reporting. Due to the size of our parts report specifically, it was kind of decided that we should be able to post those reports onto a directory rather than emailing them out. When the report gets that large, it kind of has to go in its own email. We've had those issues with having to compress it, which even wasn't enough with the most recent report. So that kind of explains why those had to go up on a separate format. So if as you receive those emails monthly from Rogan, he'll include the link to that, which is missourievergreen.org/special_reports. And when you navigate to that, it should look something like this. You might get a notification saying that you need to log in. And if it asks you that, all you have to do is enter in your standard Missouri Evergreen credentials, and that should give you access.
Can I ask a question about that, Nate?
Sure.
Once Rogan sends out the emails, are those then static until he does them the next month? So like if I'm looking at them on the 15th, somebody might have already fixed something and it won't be reflected necessarily, or is it like a Google Doc that reflects when it's been updated?
Right. No, it should be static.
Okay.
It's kind of like the emails. This is a copy of the report, and you can download it. And
okay, awesome.
Awesome, great.
Thanks.
No problem. Something else I wanted to highlight this month was that Allison Harkins from Cass County and Ron Eifert from Sykeston worked together to create a helpful reminders document. And I'm planning on going through the actual document towards the end of the meeting when we talk more about the how-tos of cataloging. But basically the document is kind of like a cheat sheet or like a reminder sheet as you're working through records. Just something to have on hand to remind you, oh, this is something that I might goof up with the 049 or something like that. So that's kind of what that is. And it's looking great, and I'm really thankful that they put the time together to create that for us. So thanks, Allison and Ron. Next thing on the agenda here is talking about our certification process. So again, this is something that's been long in the works. And hopefully by February 10th, that is the deadline that we've kind of given ourselves. February 10th, we hope to have the digital version of that certification kind of put together. So that should include all the training documents that we've put together over the past few months, Greg's training videos, which are wonderful. They should kind of be used in tandem. I think they're a great tool to kind of see some of those things in application. So all those things will be available online. You know, you can expect there to be a place on the website or like a landing page on the website where you'll be able to see kind of a description of how that process works, be able to find links to those items and those videos, and basically be able to work through that certification process. Now at the end of each of those certification documents, there is going to be a very short assessment. Basically, it's just asking that you provide some screenshots of you know, records that you found or items that you've created to essentially show that you and demonstrate that you know these procedures and these steps to get to these specific tasks that we're training on. So that's kind of what you can expect from that. Hopefully we'll be putting some of that together up on the actual website very soon, and then it should be all ready to go by February 10th. Now again, that is kind of the virtual portion of that training. We're hoping to, in the future, be able to offer that same training in-person format. That has not been finalized, and we aren't exactly certain when or how that will look. But just know that that is an option that may be available in the future. And lastly, on that note, it has not been an official like deadline discussed about, you know, once this is available, this is when it has to be done. So we haven't put that portion together yet, so try not to stress too much about getting it done immediately as soon as it's available.
Can I ask another question, Nate?
You sure may.
Are there going to, on this training, are there going to be levels of training?
Yes, so kind of to reflect how our current cataloging policy looks, there is a basic training and then there is an advanced training. So basically the lower level of that training is going to be, you know, how to add items, how to move your items, you know, how to read a MARC record to make sure that you're adding things to the right record. And then advanced is going to be more looking at, you know, creating your own records, you know, importing things, overlaying, merging, some of those maybe more things that might require a little bit more knowledge about cataloging.
Okay, that answered that. We've got some lower level copy catalogers, and I knew they would probably need to do the training, but they'll be on the other level. So, okay,
Right.
Thank you.
Definitely, no problem. Any other questions about that? Probably should look in the chat. Okay, I don't think I see anything in the chat. So, and then lastly, just kind of, again, a reminder that the CAT help email is available for everyone who maybe had some specific questions that they are not wanting to send out to the entire listserv. So if you need help from anybody on the cataloging committee, feel free to reach out to cathelp@moevergreenlibraries.org. Okay. And now at this point, I was just going to throw out there and see, Greg, do you have anything that you wanted to touch base on or share with the group today?
Not really. I've kind of put the training on the back burner a little bit while I've been working on the Reynolds County ads. I'm bouncing between both Centerville and Bunker, I think is the other one, trying to add things as quickly as I can. And I'm only going to be here for about half of the week this week. And when I come back, I'm going to be doing nothing but finalizing all the training videos, of which probably 3/4 of them are already done, and doing some fine tuning of the training that we're going to do. This training is meant to be really light, really informative, and I think I stressed this the last time we all talked, that nobody should be stressing about this. I'm literally going to teach you the test. All right, there's no reason for anybody to go, oh my God, I'm going to have to do all this. This is not college. This is just to make sure that everybody is doing what we want you to do and to reinforce what you already know. And a lot of you already know a lot. You just don't maybe think you do or don't have a lot of confidence. We can do that. In addition to what Nate said about having this virtually and my coming out to libraries to help train if they want me to come out personally, which I'm happy to do. We can also do Zoom meetings if people want. If we want to do like a general meeting that says, you know, this is how we're going to do this or this is how we're going to do that. I'm fully flexible about all that. So, and if anybody has any questions for me or any concerns or anything, feel free to either contact me through the Cat Help email, or you can email me directly if you want. I am here for you. Abuse me as you see fit. That's
Awesome.
all I got.
Thanks, Greg. I also see something in the chat. It looks like it came from Emmy Director, which I'm guessing is Mickey, which is another thing I forgot to mention on the agenda. We now have Mickey Colwell joined us as our, what is the exact title there?
Executive Director? I don't know. What are you, Mickey?
That's it. So thanks. Hi, Nate.
Hi, Mickey. And he mentioned in the chat that has some more information about Reynolds County, and he specifically says that Reynolds County, we just met with Equinox and Megan this morning. They have made excellent progress. Centerville is at least 75% cataloged. The other branches will be tackled in this order: Ellington, Bunker, and Oates. And he includes the numbers there. So it looks like we're making some good progress there, and it's nice to have a bit of an update. And he includes this saying that, you know, the original item count was inflated as it did not take into account a large weeding project that occurred earlier. The total item count will be about 35,000 for Reynolds. The resource sharing begin date is February 7th. They will have a soft go live date on January 20th to allow staff to get familiar with Evergreen. So thank you, Mickey, for sharing all that.
Sure.
Where does Lesterville fall in that list?
We take a look here at the notes to the meeting again. Right before Oates. Thanks for mentioning it.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. And I also noticed that Meredith, our chair of circulation, is here. I know it's not been on the agenda. Meredith, is there any relevant circulation news that you might want to share with the committee today?
Thank you, Nate. We do not have anything to bring forward at this time. We did not have a meeting in December with the holidays, so we'll be gearing up again later this month.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, and so moving on to our Let's Talk cataloging kind of section here. First thing I wanted to talk about was graphic novels, or manga, you know, those Japanese graphic novels. So we kind of have this division in our catalog where some of those are separated out by the individual volumes, while some of them are kind of grouped together onto a single record. The cataloging committee discussed this a bit over email, and I think we would really prefer and want to set the best practice as having each of those separated out by individual volume. So if you have a series of manga and they each have like their own unique part title to it and their own ISBN, those should ideally be on their own record. Now, if you do have several of these records out there with multiple volumes on a single record, it should be fairly easy to separate those out. It looks like our holdings in Missouri Evergreen are they're pretty large. So a lot of these titles do seem to have their own records already. So it should be very easy to go to your record, identify each volume, and just move it to the appropriate record. And then from there, I just want to cover the helpful reminders document. Okay, and so like I mentioned earlier, this is just kind of like a cheat sheet that was put together by Allison and Ron, and it kind of highlights some of those things as you're going through a MARC record that will be good things to keep in mind as you're going. So first of all, it provides some guidance and some reminders about when you should and shouldn't separate records. And it links out, of course, to our specific guidelines that talk more in depth about how to do that. So definitely keeps that in mind. We have moves on to our 007. And of course, with any sort of media, we're going to want to include that 007. So that kind of, Evergreen uses that information to decide what exact icon needs to be displayed within Evergreen. And I know that comes up a question, or often comes up as a question as we are working in our catalog. I get emails frequently saying, this is the icon that we're seeing. This isn't right. What do I need to do to fix that? Oftentimes, it's going to be a combination of the fixed fields and the 007. So making sure that you have that included is going to be really integral to making sure that you have the right icons appearing. And it also points out that as you're adding those 007s, there's even like a physical characteristics wizard. So it's like an easy little drop-down menu that you can click through step by step that helps you identify the material that you have. So definitely very helpful in keeping that reminder there. For 020, there's just a quick reminder reminding you, or letting you know that you can include both the 13 and the 10-digit ISBNs in there. And using that Q tag, that Q subfield, is going to be very helpful in helping us communicate about what types of materials that we have. So as you can see in the example here, that subfield Q, hardcover in parentheses, lets us know that that specific ISBN is going to be for the hardcover. So again, keep that in mind as you're working through it. This document also helps point out the differences between our 040 and 049, as I know that those can kind of get mixed up a bit. So the 040, again, being the kind of tracks the history of edits on that document. So if you make any sort of edit to that MARC record, be sure to add another subfield D, as you can see here in this example. I need to zoom in a bit.
Can I ask a question about that really quick?
Yes.
I've noticed a couple of records that are in Missouri Evergreen that don't have a 040 code attached to it. If we find one like that, do we start the code?
Yeah, that would be the best thing to do with those. So you just do a 040, make sure you add that subfield B for English, and then the subfield E, and mention that it's RDA, and then you can go ahead and put that first subfield D in there to mention that you made that edit.
Thank you.
Good question, Greg. Thank you. So yeah, making sure that you update that or add it if it's missing. That will be an important part of reviewing that record. And then of course the 049 is going to be necessary to indicate who brought that record in to the database. And instead of, roll back again. So with the 040, that is your 3-character code. And the 049 is going to be that 3-character code with the letter A. And it's just a requirement of that 049 to have the 4 characters. So that's why the A is at the end. So yeah, making sure that both of those present on a record will be important for us. The 050 is a field indicating a Library of Congress call number, which is very much not used in a lot of public libraries, and especially within Missouri Evergreen. So those can just be removed from the record completely, along with the 092, which is going to list out local call numbers. So we don't need any local information included in any of our shared bib records, so we can remove that as well. The reminder here in the 100 just lets everyone know to, double check that that is the appropriate way to list that author's name. We have a variety of resources that we can access to kind of double check the proper authorized way that that name is listed. So I would suggest reviewing some of those and being sure to check on those when you're cataloging. And then some helpful reminders about how to format the 245 and some of the punctuation in there. And just as a quick reminder, the punctuation for one subfield is really going to be decided by the field that follows it. So for example, here we can see that the subfield A at the end, there is this colon because it is followed by a subfield B. If that subfield B wasn't there at all, so if it didn't have that subtitle of Inside the Private Lives of William, Kate, Harry, and Meghan, if that portion didn't exist, it'd just be brothers and wives. And because of that subfield being gone completely, it would be followed by subfield C. And if something's followed by subfield C, it just gets this little slash. So in this case, the slash is in the subfield B, but if it weren't there at all, the slash would be in the subfield A. So this just kind of gives you a quick rundown of that and a helpful reminder as you're cataloging. 250 reminds you that when you are merging records and there are multiple editions that kind of share that same page count and content, to remove some of those edition statement fields so that those aren't present and aren't misleading people into thinking that all copies are going to be this exact edition. 300 again does a quick run through of how to format the 300 field. 500 on this document reminds us specifically that we should be including this publisher, publishing date, and paging may vary when we are merging records with similar content or the same content with different, exact publishers and so on. Again, on the 590, we don't want any local information included in our records. So this is one of those fields that you'll sometimes see local information stored. That should be removed. And if you do need a place to store local information, we do have digital book plates that you can do. There's item notes that people can add to their specific items. So there's a number of ways that we can kind of take that information that you're wanting to preserve and put it elsewhere. And then lastly, the helpful reminders document talks about the 902 field. And this is necessary and is required whenever we do any merging or an overlay. And what that looks like when you do that is just it's a 902. The subfield A, you're going to want to put in your 3-character code. Subfield B, you'll put in the date that the action was taken. And then subfield C, you will put in what action. So was it merged or is it an overlay? So yeah, that is a good reminder. And I think that brings us to the end of the helpful reminders document. Again, this is just something that you or your staff can keep on hand to kind of remind them for some of those important things to check for.
I have a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah. A lot of records with video cassette in the 300 field, but the 007 field is for DVD. Yeah, so that is another issue, is that we do have some records where the information maybe does not match the actual item in hand. And we try to capture those things with our monthly utility reports that say mismatched DVD or mismatched VHS, or in this case, cassette. So hopefully those sorts of things are coming up on those reports. And then there's a question asking, do we use the 902 if we enhance an existing record? That is a good question. I've seen that used in or referenced in some documentation from the past, but I don't have a good example of when we would use that specifically, because we make a number of changes to a record, and I would hope that most changes we make to any record are an enhancement. So that might be something that the cataloging committee needs to review and come to some sort of a conclusion about best practices.
What would be
But
the
until
difference
then,
between, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think you were going to mention the same thing, Greg. Because we have talked about this recently. You would be putting your OCLC code in the 040 anyway when you are updating that record. So it's kind
Right.
of a duplication of that, because when you put that 040 field, when you add to that 040 field, it kind of tells everybody, hey, I, did something in here.
Right. Okay, and then the last thing Kate mentions, to go with that, most of these holdings on those records do reflect that they are DVDs, not VHS. So some are all mixed up. So again, yeah, it sounds like they're extra mixed up, and hopefully that some of that information is showing up on our reports, and people are going in to act on those reports and then correct their items. Okay, so I think that is everything I had on my agenda. I don't have the correct date here on my list, but our next meeting should be February, I think it's the 14th. Yes, February 14th is our next Missouri Evergreen Catalogers meeting. Any other final questions or anything else that anyone would like to bring before the group? If not, then I think we are all done here. Thank you everyone for joining. And again, if you haven't put your name and your library in the chat for attendance, please do so. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.